Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bigfoot Cooking, where today we're making blueberry muffins. That's right, I'm on a muffin run, so I'm gonna make actually a little series of this, but we're starting out with the blueberry muffins. And of course, what do you need for blueberry muffins? Blueberries. But these guys are frozen, rock solid, in the deep freezer. There's a purpose for that, and I'll show you that later on. But in the meantime, we're also gonna stuff them with some mad science magic. Woo! That's right, we got the big syringe out for this one. Wait till you see how this comes into play. So let's get started with all our ingredients. Of course, we got a cup of frozen blueberries, which, blueberries. I don't know if they're in season right now, but you can usually find them frozen. But you got your blueberries, you got your 1 3/4 cup of flour, half a cup of sugar, tablespoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, and then for the wet ingredients, we've got 2 eggs, 2/3 cup of milk, a 1/3 cup of butter, and a you know what it's called, a tablespoon of vanilla. Ooh, the good stuff. And then of course, for the mad science part, we got some jelly we're gonna put inside of it, but that comes later. So let's get started mixing these things up and making us some good muffins. Now, before we get started mixing anything, step 1, set your oven at 400 degrees. Hot, I know, but muffins actually cook really quickly. Doesn't take that long. Well, actually it takes about 20 minutes, but either way, it takes a few minutes for the oven to heat up. By the time you get done mixing all the ingredients, it should be ready. So now, let's do the mix. We start with the flour. Poof, big old dust cloud there. We add the sugar. La la la. Not as much dust with that. And of course, we'll hit it with both barrels with the salt and baking soda. It's baking powder. What am I thinking? And we mix. Now, you want to make sure that this is mixed together good. You can't just go, yep, and done. Because if you don't have all this stuff incorporated, it's not going to taste right. You're going to have oddities in your mix, and we don't want that with this stuff. We want some dang good muffins, don't we? Got a good mix on the dry. Now let's get started with the wet. Now for the wet stuff, we're going to start with the eggs because we need to go ahead and bust these guys up. That's right, scrambled egg time. First thing. We'll get a good mix on these, get the yolks busted. Now the good thing about this recipe is it really doesn't matter which way you go in with the ingredients. Nothing reacts with anything else. There's not like a explosion as long as you're mixing the dry with the dry and the wet with the wet. Everything works together, oh so nicely. It looks kind of cool, don't it? And in with the butter. Real technical here, guys. Good mix on this. And now it's time for the prom. It's time to introduce the wet stuff to the dry stuff. All right, we got everybody mixed together individually. Let's incorporate it. Now there's no need to do the little pour, little pour, little pour. We're just gonna dump the whole thing in here all at once. No shame in our game. And you don't wanna incredibly stir this. You just wanna mix it enough until it gets all happy together. Kind of like you're making biscuits. You work them too much, well, same thing applies. You just keep the flour, make sure it's all wet all the way around and you don't have any big dry spots. Now that we have our pancake batter, let's go ahead and add the blueberries. Now this is one of those, depending on how much you like blueberries, you could load this thing up. It's really, there's no shame in your game when it comes to flavor, right? So we're gonna stir these guys in. This way, every bite has a little bit of blueberry in it. And because they're frozen, if you look, the batter still is pretty much batter colored as opposed to the whole thing turning blue. Now let's get some tins and set these guys out. And from here, just scoop and drop. Now, if you're really picky, you want them all the exact same size, you could get like an ice cream scooper and pull them out. That way you could get the exact same size. These are muffins, come on now, let's be real. I'm not that picky, but we're just gonna plop these guys in here. Now these are pretty big cupcake liners, so they're not quite fitting down in here. I wanted to be able to catch the whole muffin top into the muffin, so that's okay. We'll just fill these guys up, make them happy, make them set right down in there. Now if you did smaller ones of these, you could probably get about a dozen out of this, but we're doing larger, so I'm shooting for about 8. We'll see how we sit. I'm filling them up right till they get to about the 10 as far as the muffin pan goes, and then giving it room for it to rise up out of there. And there you have it. No blueberries left behind. A little bit of batter, but you know, it'll be okay. Now, before I set these in the oven, we're actually going to sprinkle the top of it. You know, some of that larger grain sugar you can get, they have fancy stuff. They have names for them. I don't know them. I just know it's brown sugar and it's big grain and oh, it tastes so good. Let's give it a little sprinkle. We're just going to take a pinch of this stuff. You're not going to go crazy with it because you're not trying to make a caramel top on it. We're just trying to add a little bit of something to it so that a little bit of sweetness. You know how that goes. Everybody likes a little sweetness in their life, right? And into the oven for a whopping 25 minutes of, man, this is taking forever, but oh, it's going to taste so good. All right, timer time. Let's see what we got in the oven. Ooh, looky there. They done muffinated for us. Now let's set this guy down. We'll give it about 10-15 minutes to cool. And while it's doing that, let me show you how we're gonna squirt them full of goodness. Now these things are awesome just as they are. Like I say, pulled them out of the pan. They're kind of finishing cooling down right now, but we're gonna make them awesomer. Yeah, fancy word of the day. We're gonna take some blueberry jam, because blueberry, why not? We're gonna take a marinade injector, meat injector, syringe injector. You guys that do a lot of smoking, you know what this is about. We're gonna fill it with jelly. Not something you've seen before, right? We're gonna take the syringe and load it up. We're just gonna take and get little scoops of the stuff and slide it inside of there. And you're gonna try to shake it down as good as you can to get all the air out of it. All right, we got a little bit in here. We're gonna set the back end into it. Tighten the base up. Kind of shake it down to get it all toward the bottom. And then, ooh, it's time to add some flavor. Literally nothing complicated. Take it, stick it in, give it a good squirt of however much jelly you want to put in here. And that's it. They make special tools for this. You can do like a pastry chef thing, however, but you just put you a good squirt in there and guess what? You just jelly filled your muffin. Ooh, breakfast don't get better than that. Now let's see if we can get the rest of these guys filled up. And there you have it. About 10 minutes of cooling down, a little bit of injection of the stuff. I seem to be missing half a muffin. I'm not sure how that happened. Maybe the guy who subscribed to my channel stole it. I'm not sure. But look at here. Look at this thing. You got the jelly tucked away on the inside of it. And you know every one of these is just the same. You got the blueberries mixed all through it. And you got the fat kid that likes cake. And I mean, let's face it, a cupcake and a muffin ain't really too far apart, are they? It's like eating dessert for breakfast. Y'all have fun. Because I know I'm having fun. I don't know how many of these are gonna make it through the day, but I do know one thing. Bigfoot is real, and he apparently knows how to cook. What is this big lump? Like I say, fresh strawberries, when you stir them up, you can bust them up. Frozen gives you a little better chance. You're not wrong either way, it's just what are you going for?